What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Thanks for pressing play today. We are here at Click Lewis Chevrolet right outside of Palmyra, and we are here to take a look at this. Yes, a Colorado Bison. All right, guys, so here it is. You guys know I drive a 2018 Colorado Z71 as my daily driver truck, but this is the big boy. This is the top of the line Colorado available. So above the Z71, we have the ZR2, which I actually did a review on right here at Click Lewis. I'll link that right up here somewhere. But the Bison takes the ZR2 to another level. So basically the ZR2 takes the Colorado Z71 to another level, and then this one takes the ZR2 to another level. The biggest difference between the Z71 and the ZR2 is going to be the Multimatic DSSV struts or shocks that are on the truck. And then of course, the front and rear locking differentials that you have full control over. Now, with the Bison, we still get all that stuff. So the Bison is still basically a ZR2 at its roots, with the upgraded suspension, the upgraded electronic locking front and rear differentials. But as you can tell, we get a little something extra. The front bumper still has the real massive cutaways like the ZR2 does, so we have the best possible approach angle with this truck for off-roading. But you can tell we get a little bit of a different bumper here. This is actually a steel bumper, and we get access to fog lights this time. So the ZR2 actually loses the fog lights because of that cutaway, but the Bison finds a way to bring those back. Now, as you can see down here, this is, yes, that is steel. Oddly enough, the person that owns this truck actually works here at Click Lewis. He just recently purchased it. Although I guess it's lucky for us that we get to take a look at it now since we're here. Now, moving around to the side of the truck here, I don't want to talk a lot about all of the features on this thing because a lot of them are the same as the ZR2. This one is going to be mostly just the differences between the ZR2 and the Bison, but an overall kind of review of the truck as well. Now on the side here, the first difference you're going to see is, of course, the wheels. So the Bison gets its own style of wheel with the AEV logo right there in the center and kind of a gunmetal gray appearance to the wheel itself. It does still use the same Goodyear Duratrack tires that the ZR2 and some of the Z71s have. Now we can look inside here and you can clearly see that the owner does in fact use this as a truck. Apparently the day he bought it, he took it and went off-roading on a farm. So yeah, it's being used like it should be. Now, while we're on the wheels, we will touch on the fender flares as well. As you guys can tell, these are much bigger than what you're going to see on the ZR2 or the Z71 from factory, and these are a factory offering. So these help house these Goodyear Duratrack tires and keep all the mud and everything off the truck itself when you go off-roading, which you probably should when you have a front and rear locking differential. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Yeah, or maybe elephant trunk. So you guys know what this is. This is a snorkel. Now this is, again, a factory option. So AEV got together with Chevy and said, you know what, let's build the biggest, baddest Colorado we possibly can. The ZR2 is just not enough, and this is the kind of stuff we get. So yeah, fun stuff for people who do off-roading, do mudding, all that good stuff. It's a factory installed snorkel. If you've ever wanted to drive a truck down the road and have people give you a lot of weird looks because most people don't know what this is the way to do it. Now back at the front, because we can't forget the Bison grill. Now, a lot of you guys are going to say, well, wait a second, Justin, you have the Bison grill on your Colorado Z71, so how is that specific to the Bison? Well, originally it was. So that was supposed to be the grill that was for the Colorado Bison and only the Bison, but apparently Chevy decided, you know what, that grill is just way too fantastic to only sell on one model. Let's sell them on all of them. I was actually able to go to a GM parts site and purchase one of these for myself and put it on my Colorado, which definitely helps it look way cooler. Moving along the side here, we're going to see this truck again has some sort of rock slider here. So if you guys watched the video where I did the review of the ZR2, you'll know I talked a little bit about the rock sliders that truck had. These ones are slightly different in appearance. They look like they go a little bit longer down the side of the truck, but ultimately they offer you the same kind of protection. This is mostly for off-roading, and it will help protect the frame and the cab of the truck when going over giant rocks and smashing into things. Again, very purpose-built, and yet still oddly attractive. So moving down the side here, we do still have the sport bar here. If you guys did watch that ZR2 review, you're going to notice this was on that as well. We still have access to the LED lights up on top. The light switch inside still controls those, all the same stuff there, but it does really look striking on this particular color. I always like the gray on trucks, and this Bison is no exception. That gray looks fantastic with the black accents. Really sets it off. In the back wheel well here, we can get a real clear look at those Multimatic DSSV struts. Definitely very cool. Chevy doesn't make a lot of cars that use those, so you can see the GM Performance logo there on the top right. But other than the ZR2 and the 5th generation Z28 Camaro and now the 6th generation ZL1 1LE, I don't think GM has ever used those in any of their other cars. Whenever I first got wind that the ZR2 was going to use these DSSV struts, I thought it was kind of odd, because the only thing I'd ever seen them in before was performance cars, not anything truck related. Well, GM said let's throw them on the ZR2 as well. Now obviously, like I said, the ZR2 is the base for the Bison, so yeah, we get the ZR2 Bison sticker here. At the end of the day, this is a ZR2 with extra Bison or AEV parts added onto it and then sold from GM with a warranty. Now moving around to the rear, obviously we still have those same cutaway rear bumpers for, again, the best possible approach angle, but AEV took it to another level and added some metal tubing to the bumper as well to really just give it that extra rigidity that it needs, or protection. Now as you can see, the stock bumper is kind of there, and then these things come out around, again, to protect the frame, to protect the bumper, protect the truck as much as possible while doing off-roading. So this kind of factors in with the side rock sliders. This particular Bison is also optioned with the GM Performance exhaust, which definitely gives it an interesting sound. And moving around to the back of the truck, we get this gigantic AEV logo. Just to let you know, this is not your normal ZR2. This is something much more special, something much more off-road capable. Not even necessarily capable, but more likely to come home in one piece because of all the protection that this thing offers and the extra things that you need for off-roading, such as the snorkel. If you want to get really crazy, this truck is going to give you what you need as an off-road enthusiast. And one additional thing in the rear that is different from the stock truck is the tow hooks or recovery hooks here in the rear. You can either tie those up and pull somebody out of the mud, or someone can tie to those for you and pull you out of the mud if you're stuck. But with a front and rear locking differential, I don't think that's going to be happening too often. What's interesting though is on the bumper here, looks like we actually have some cutouts. We could pop those out and probably put some real bright LED backup lights in there. Yeah, definitely cool. I mean, I feel like they have thought of everything. So up in the bed here, not specific to the Bison, but still pretty cool. Gives you a nice look at the wheels that are specific to the Bison. This is the way the 5th wheel is carried around in this truck. Instead of up underneath it, which would of course limit your ground clearance, they decide to mount it in the bed. So if you ever need that for any off-roading, it is available, and it's not going to hurt your ground clearance because now there is nothing under there. Now, if you guys are interested in a Bison for yourself, what you can count on is adding at least a $5,700 option on top of the ZR2. The ZR2 is already not exactly a cheap truck, and I have seen them as high as high 40s, even low 50s. So you add that $5,700 on top of that, you're talking about a truck that could be as expensive as $55,000. Now, is that worth it to you for a mid-sized truck? That's going to be completely up to you. But what you do get with a truck like this is a lot of off-road goodies. So like I said, the front and rear locking differentials and those DSSV shocks in there are going to definitely get you where you need to go as far as off-roading goes. Now, if you want to drive this thing daily on the road, it's actually not bad. So I was expecting the DSSV shocks and struts here to be much more jarring than they ended up being. I went and took the ZR2 for a review from Click Lewis here, and I got to drive it around on the streets, which we're going to take this one out in a little bit as well. But what I found was a ride that was not much, if any, harsher than my Z71, which doesn't have any kind of DSSV shocks or struts. Now, the only reason I mention this is because, yeah, a lot of people are going to buy a mid-sized truck like this to daily drive, and they want to know if it's comfortable. And in my opinion, the DSSV struts don't seem to affect it much at all, if any. But it does look really awesome. The ZR2 in general, rides a little bit higher than the Z71. It gives it kind of a factory lift. I want to say GM said 1 inch higher than the stock Z71. It might actually be 2. I will find out and put it right here on the screen for you. But either way, guys, this is basically your fully optioned ZR2 Bison, and it is a really interesting truck. So let's check out the interior. So inside, guys, we are greeted with a very, very similar look to the ZR2, because like I said, that's what this is, with some extra things from AEV put on it. So what that means is you're going to get the full leather seats with, of course, the full stitching of AEV in the headrests instead of ZR2. But when you first enter into the truck, yes, you get a ZR2 aluminum sill plate. My biggest complaint with my Z71 was, of course, the no full leather seats and the black and gray dashboard. Well, the ZR2 fixes that. This is all black. The seats are full leather, also all black. And because it's the ZR2, we get, yes, the phone, the wireless phone charger. I love it. I know a lot of people have phones that are too big to fit in there, and I know that that's going to come up, but for me, my Google Pixel 5 fits in there just fine, and it's amazing. I love the idea of having a wireless charger. And because this is a newer Colorado, we get access to the heated steering wheel right there, which is really cool. Mine is a 2018. It was right at the cutoff for not getting that. And here in Pennsylvania, it is only about 40 degrees today. So that's one of those features that I feel like I would really welcome at this point. Now, this truck also has the tow package. So right here, you have your built-in trailer brake option. And of course, you're going to want that on a truck that's going to cost you almost $55,000. Now, I know used and some places are selling them for a little cheaper than that, so maybe it's not going to be 55, but either way, it is going to be very expensive for a mid-size truck. So make sure this is definitely what you're looking for before you go spending this much money on a mid-size. Now, with that said, I've already said a couple times, the truck has a front and locking rear differential, and if that's something you want, that's something you can't even get on a lot of full-size trucks nowadays. So even though that price is high, there's kind of a reason for it. Another really interesting quirk we'll throw out there, like Doug DeMuro style review here, is this. So on my Z71, that actually is a Chevy logo. This is the exact same floor mat from my Z71, but it's stamped with an AEV logo instead of a Chevy bow tie. Not anything huge by any means, but it's definitely cool. All right, guys, so stepping up into the truck, I can definitely tell, yeah, it sits a little higher than my Z71. And without the step bars on the side, it's almost too high to get in. I'm about 5'11", so if you're taller than me, you're probably all right. But if you're shorter than 5'11", it's a little bit of an elevation to jump up into. So another thing I noticed is the key is a little bit different. Mine is shaped more like a square. I'll put a picture of it in here. And this one is a little more rounded, a little easier to fit in your pocket, it seems. Out the front, you can clearly see that snorkel up there. It is pretty much in your view the entire time. You also have the hood bump. Of course, we got the cowl with the ZR2, and with the Bison, it is the same thing. So the exterior gray color really goes nicely with the black accents of the cowl, of the snorkel, and even of the wheels. I mean, the whole truck is really, really nice looking. But anyway, guys, we are going to take this thing for a ride, so let's go ahead and start it up and see if we get anything new on the startup screen. So that is all the same. Yeah, all the same here. So nothing special for Bison on there or on the actual speedometer area. Everything pretty much the same. Still get our climate controls. Everything looks exactly the same in here outside of the AEV logos. So while we're in here, guys, I figured I'd point out to you, in case you don't know, about the rear locking differential and the front locking differential. There are buttons right here. You can turn them on or turn them off on the fly. You have complete control over this truck. If you don't want it to be automatic, it doesn't have to be. And that's great for full off-road stuff. Over on the side here, we have access to our lights. This is the fog light, and this is the sport bar light up on the top of the truck. Down here we have obviously 2-wheel drive, auto 4-wheel drive, 4 high and 4 low. So if you guys get into a situation where you're really stuck, you want to go with the 4 low and of course work your locking differentials. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and take this thing for a ride. Now, like I said a little earlier, guys, I did review the ZR2 here at Click Lewis. It was actually a black model. It was a really nice looking truck. I almost actually bought it. But this one, of course, gonna ride very similar, but at the same time, it has a lot of extras on it. So yeah, a little bit of a different truck. So right off the bat, guys, I can tell this truck rides a little bit stiffer, but at the same time, it feels a lot more controlled than my Z71. I like it. This ultimately, what it feels like to me, which is kind of weird, is the the higher end models of your typical sports car. So you got your base, and then you got like the Z06 or the ZR1, and they typically ride a little bit stiffer, a little bit harder than the base model stuff. This is the same kind of thing. So this being a Bison, or really just built on the ZR2 frame, is just a ZR2 really, but those DSSV struts, man, they feel good. They make you feel like you're in something a little more performance oriented. There's a lot less sway in the body of the truck when you're moving around on the road. Now, of course, this is a brand new truck. It only has 360 miles on it, so that is going to factor in a little bit as well. Now, again, just like I said with the ZR2, going over bumps, little manhole covers in the road and stuff, I can totally feel these DSSV struts being a little more stiff, but they also seem to soak up the bumps a little bit better. So real steep things like manhole covers and whatnot, it feels like it's able to handle it a little bit better than my Z71 does. So let's come in here. We're gonna see if we can hit some of these said manhole covers. There's a bunch of them on this road. All right, here's one here. Yeah, the truck feels much more controlled over bumps like that. And that's, of course, that's exactly what you want with off-road. Here's a good one. Yeah, definitely more controlled. And of course, like I said, guys, while you're driving, you get to look at that giant cow and, of course, the snorkel. Everything else on the interior here is very ZR2-ish, or even the Z71, other than the fact that it's not gray. The ZR2 gives you the black interior, which is a really nice look in my opinion. My only complaint would be the ceiling not being black to match. All right, guys, so we are back from our drive. Like I said, I didn't want to go into a crazy amount of detail here because I have already reviewed the ZR2, and for the most part, this is the same truck minus the AEV Bison stuff. So with that said, this is actually a really cool truck. AEV gives you a lot of different really cool off-road goodies on top of the already off-road proven ZR2 that gives you just that extra little bit of confidence, the extra little bit of appearance. And at the end of the day, you can say you have the most off-road capable Chevy Colorado if that's what you're going for. Now, is it worth the price? Like I said, I'm going to leave that up to you guys. In my opinion, I would opt for the ZR2 without the Bison package for the difference in cost, but of course that is up to you and how much off-roading you really do. Now again, guys, I want to give a huge thank you to Fran here at Click Lewis. He literally let me take his personal truck and do some crazy things with it, and I appreciate that so much. The guys at Click Lewis here in Palmyra, Pennsylvania really are a different breed. They are really nice guys, and of course they have a bunch of cool cars to play with, so why not? Now, if you guys are in the market for a Colorado or any kind of truck, you guys can definitely head up here to Click Lewis in Palmyra. They have a bunch of them. Silverados, Colorados, all the good stuff. Come up here, check out Click Lewis, and ask for Mike Matarazzo or Greg Lewis. I work with both of those salesmen, and they are both really good guys. Tell them Horsepower Obsessed sent you. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. If you liked what you saw, please give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the ZR2 Bison, let me know in the comments section down below, or shoot me an email, horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com, and I will make sure you get any of your questions answered. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I have loads of Colorado information and how-to videos coming you are not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.